All right, so it is recording. Y'all know all the things on Zoom can be recorded now, and our clips are one of those so that they can be up for future access, so y'all can check those out if there's anything that you wanted to revisit from today. But first of all, thanks for being here. Welcome. I'm Sarah Rodriguez. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve as the Assistant Director to the Academic Advancement Center. I see some faces I know, maybe some names I know. I'm going to invite you in at this time to turn on your cameras if you would like to be present. I would appreciate that. And also, if you have not already, do send Areli your name, your email, and your CSU ID, either on the chat or through her private message on the chat, so that she can mark you down for today's attendance. Okay. All right, so today's topic, you all chose to be in today's clip, Navigating Stress and Anxiety in Our Circle. You're in the right place if this is where you're meant to be. If this is not where you're meant to be, you are definitely in the right place. So hang out, we're gonna talk about stress, control, letting go, and all things that are happening in our life on so many different layers for the next 45-ish minutes. Wanting to start with just recognizing, right, y'all are here. It's a busy day, I'm sure. We're in week 8. Oh my goodness. Midterms, I hear. Oh my goodness. October, global pandemic, right? Things happening on our campus, in our community, globally. A lot is going on. There is good reason to be stressed. And so I appreciate y'all coming here to do some just exercises with me and sit in space to talk about this thing called stress and how it shows up in our circle. So to begin, I would love it if y'all would introduce yourselves just so I can know a little more about you. If you wouldn't mind your name, pronouns if you'd like, and then something I wouldn't know just by looking at you. And I can share mine. Again, my name is Sarah Rodriguez, she, her pronouns. Something you wouldn't know by just looking at me is I have 3 grandbabies, and they're beautiful. So next, I'm just going to call off names on the screen. If I say your name incorrectly, please feel free to correct me. And if you are not wanting to go like hard pass, just say hard pass, and I get it. So Donnie, I'll go with you. You're right next to me.
Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So my name's Donnie. My pronouns is he, him, his. One thing some people know that I have a twin, but he just lives back at home, so that's that one fact. So
identical twin, Donnie?
Yeah, we're actually identical, but if you see us, we look fraternal, but we're really identical. So.
Very cool. Melissa.
What do we have to say again? Just name.
Name, pronouns if you like, and then something I wouldn't know just by looking at you.
What is in my meeting?
Hello, my name is Yulissa. She, her pronouns. And one thing that you wouldn't notice about me from just looking at me is that I'm a huge Harry Styles fan. So yeah, once you get into my space, you'll see it everywhere, but you wouldn't know it just by looking at me.
Thank you. Areli.
All right, hey, so my name is Jonathan. So I go by he, him, his. And then one thing you wouldn't notice about me is so I seem shy at first, but once you get me, I'm very outgoing.
Thank you, Jonathan. Areli.
Hi, my name is Areli. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a huge dog person. Like, dogs are my life, basically. I only have one, but I wish I could have like 20.
Thanks, Areli. Rachel.
Hello, my name is Rachel. My pronouns are she, hers, and hers. And a lot of people are surprised to know that I'm a Slytherin from Harry Potter. So There's that.
Thanks, Jay. Haley.
Hey y'all, my name's Haley. I use they them pronouns, and a fun fact about me, I'm a huge car enthusiast.
Brianna.
Hello everybody. I'm Brianna. Use she, her, hers, and something that's different, I guess. I don't know. I have 2 dogs.
Leslie.
Did you say Leslie?
Yes.
Okay. So my name's Leslie. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Something that you wouldn't know about me by looking at me would be that I'm actually the youngest out of my sisters, and I'm like really tall compared to them, and I look older than them. A lot of people told me.
Brian.
Hi everyone, my name's Brian. My pronouns are he, him, his, and something that you wouldn't know just by looking at me would be that I like art.
Hi, everybody. My name is Galet Bolaños. I'm the Thrive coordinator, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. I would say, let's see here, my favorite all-time movie ever is The Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, and I am extremely acrophobic, which means I'm really afraid of heights.
Anahi.
Hi everyone. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and something that you wouldn't know by just looking at me would be that I actually have been in the White House twice, being undocumented. So, yes.
Tanya.
Hi, my name's Tanya. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And something that you wouldn't know about me by looking at me is I was born in a really small town in northeastern Colorado named Julesburg.
I know where Julesburg is. Do you know where Idalia is?
Adele.
Do you know where Burlington is?
Yes, I know where Burlington is.
Okay, I'm 30 minutes north of Burlington. Like I know I've seen Julesburg like in track meets and stuff like that. So
you have to be from back home in order to know back home, because it's like don't blink, but when you go a few more minutes, then you'll see another small town.
Small town things.
That's right. Well, nice to meet you.
Natalie, I think you're the last one.
Hi, my name is Natalie. Pronouns are she, her, hers, and one thing, if you looked at me and didn't know, is that I've been playing piano since I was 7 years old.
Very good. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, right, recognizing that the world is just the world right now. There's a little bit of stress involved in that, right, with everything going on. I want to start with just a deep breath. So can y'all see my screen? I'm not sure what I'm sharing.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so we're gonna just do this one real quick. You can just look up breath or breathing gifts, and a lot of different things come up. So this is one that I like. It's called De-Stress Monday. They have a lot of different gifts. So this one's just about sharpening your focus and being present, right? How do we make time to do that? So before we go on with the rest of the lesson, we're just going to take time to focus on the shape. and breathe in and out to match the movement of the shape. And just bring yourself back when you drift away. We'll do this for just a few seconds. One more deep breath. All right. Thanks for joining in that. I think it's important to remember to breathe. I think often it's said as a joke, right? Did you forget to breathe? Literally, we don't think to breathe unless we put mindfulness to it, right, and intent behind it. So remembering to breathe is a really important start of stress management. You can do that at any time of the day, anywhere you're at, just taking a minute to focus in on your breath and just take some deep breaths to really expand your lungs, really expand your belly, expand your mind, and just open up to the possibilities and refocus. And that is a great way to be present. So I wanted to start with just some shout outs about that. How else have you all, what have you practiced maybe? What have you tried? What would you like to learn as far as being present or being in the moment? Not worrying about yesterday, not trying to focus on the future, but being present. Does anyone want to share what has worked, what might work? I want to recognize I am not the only expert in this room. You'll have things that have worked or have not worked, and I'd love to hear some of your voices as well.
One thing that I've been trying to do is affirmations in the morning. And I think that helps me to just like focus in that moment while I'm like stretching and waking up. Just taking those like first few moments for yourself, I think has really helped set like a good mindset for the rest of the week or every day, however many times you want to say those affirmations.
Beautiful. I think affirmations are so important. It's easy to think like, well, I don't know what to tell myself, or I don't know like what I should say. Your head is talking to you all day long anyways, right? You might as well take some time to sit down and be intentional with that voice. And be like, hey, Brad, whoever you are in my head, like we're gonna have this conversation about what a kick-ass day we're gonna have and how chingona I am, because we're not gonna let all the negative talk just infiltrate and be everywhere. That will come up because that's just how, right, life gets with all the things in the way. But creating some intentional time to do affirmations or check-ins is super important. Anything else anybody wanted to add? I see in the chat, Rachel, the meditation. Yep, focusing on the now. Really good.
I can share. So I recently started doing this just because a lot more of the times, like we're so focused on like our online school and in general and making it everything like remotely, but putting reminders on your phone to like take a deep breath or to drink water, because now it's harder for me to use like my planner versus like when we were like in school and stuff, it was a lot easier. But that's something that's like helped me out if anyone like is interested in doing that for themselves.
That's a great one also, right? And with all the smartphones or technology that we are being forced to be on in these remote times, there are so many different apps and right, guided planners that you can use that will also help, like, hey, drink water, make it a game, water your plant, whatever it is, but to remind yourself to take care of your body, take care of what you need. Very good. Anything else anyone would like to share?
I'll say that I like to take naps in the middle of the day. And this might seem kind of like obvious or like basic, but it is amazing. Just especially now that we're working, we have that Zoom fatigue. We have our eyes in front of the screen a lot. And sometimes when a lot of us say that we're taking a break, we do, but it's really like, oh, we're taking a break by being on our phone. For me, I've noticed that I need to get my eyes off of the screen. And that means, yeah, literally taking a break. My eyes, my body, my mind is what I mean by taking a break. And so if that means a nap, awesome. Get my headphones on, listen to music, and take that long break, an hour, 2 hours, whatever I need. That's what I need.
Yeah, very nice. Naps are underappreciated when you're young. I tell my kids every day, you're gonna so wish you had this nap later on in life. They don't seem to mind. And I think, right, the unplugging part is also really important. I was just exposed to something that said, like, you're not really resting or unplugged if while you're off the computer, you're still thinking about all the things you need to do on the computer. And I was like, wow, that's like really enlightening to me, that like, how often do I unplug with letting go of like all of the expectations and responsibilities on me and actually get to unplug, as opposed to like, oh, let me go rest on the couch and sit down, but still I have the list going through my head of, I got to do this, I need to meet this person, I need to check in on this. And like, is that really resting, right? Because you're still plugged in and your brain is working overtime. So yes, naps, beautiful. Embrace them every chance you get. Cool. So next, yes, welcome, Liz. Sorry. You want to say hi, introduce yourself? Or are you right on the spot? Okay. We'll come back. The next thing I wanted to do is just talk about, right, what causes stress. So we know a few of the things stated earlier. It's midterms, you know, global pandemic, something like that. What causes stress though in our life? What does that look like for y'all? Where is stress coming from?
Could you repeat your question?
Yeah, sorry. Can y'all hear me? I think I switched my
phones. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah,
okay.
So much better.
Thanks. I forgot I had it on music and I had it plugged into the other microphone. Thanks for letting me know. What is something, or what are some things that cause stress, that bring stress to your body, to your life at this moment in time? What are those things that are causing stress?
I think the pandemic causes stress, just, you know, the global pandemic that we're in, and being inside, not being able to go outside causes stress for me.
Mm-hmm. So, right, staying inside because of COVID, yes, precautions, yes. Miss McConnell, we are doing precautions and staying inside, wearing our masks. But also staying inside because of these fires, right? If y'all are up here in Fort Collins, the smoke is nasty. It's really impacting, right, my asthma. And so I've been stuck inside, like even beyond the COVID regulations. What else? I think, Jonathan, you were going to say something?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So basically, I think right now, like, we could also even like help with so could you kind of restate this question again, sorry?
Sure. Just what's a stress factor for you these days? Currently,
I mean, because it's, so I usually go on runs, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because of like you said, the whole smoke, it's pretty bad. Usually I've just been going to the gym early in the morning, kind of just start the day off good with something positive, you know?
Yeah, nice.
I think for me, a big stressor has been this one project that I have for a class where, like, she's like, you could do anything you want. It could be a paper, it could be a podcast. You can really create whatever you want as long as it relates back to the class and it shows that you know what we're talking about. And so I decided to do like a mock grad school application. And so I was just earlier in a webinar for a grad program, and it was a little bit stressful because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. And like, how do you pick a school, and what do I need to know? And people were asking different questions. And I was like, I didn't even think about that. And then another part of me was like, I still have another year to really think about this in depth. But then just knowing it's kind of like there in the back of my head, and it's at any moment just gonna like pop up and be like, ha, did you think about this? That's something now you're gonna be thinking about for the next year. So I think that's been a big stressor for me.
Thanks for sharing, Anissa. Right, projects, what we don't know can be stressful. I think, right, one of the big identities that I hold is first generation. And so I still feel, right, navigating school was a first generation experience. There were a lot of things I didn't know. And now even growing into the workforce, right, like what does that look like? And what are all the options and all the things to do? And I think just be at peace. Like, you'll never know all the things. It's okay. You get to be human. You get to make choices. You get to change choices. A lot of exploring, right? Just deciding, well, we'll try this hot on today. No, that didn't work. Okay, let me try something different. And yep, that year is going to pass quickly, because I can't believe it's October, y'all. I think like August 17th was like a minute ago, and somehow it is October 7th. Anyone else like to share?
I'll go real quick.
Thank
I
you.
think beginning in like August 17th or like 24th when we started school, back up, and like we're not gonna, like, what struck me was that there was not a lot of people like on the IM fields, or like just in general, like on campus, like at an 8 a.m. very few people. It kind of like it kind of stresses me out, because I'm like, I want to have that social interaction, but like I know it can't right now. And like I want to hang out with my friends, but because then I just come back to my room and I'm like, I'm just going to do my work and that's it.
Right.
So it's like a different kind of stress that I want to have, or
Yeah, totally. Yep, things are definitely not like they were last semester. It is a different time we're living in, and it's okay to remind ourselves of that. Like, we're in a global pandemic. We are working through some shit that has never been worked through before with our time, doing the things that we're trying to do and maintain, right, our sanity while doing that, maintain our productivity, and we're doing it. Like, every day you're waking up, you're getting it done. Every day you get to be human and try it again. Wanted to pull Luis's voice into the conversation. I see in the chat that they've added school, work, family, loved ones, different sources of stress, right, all over the place. So thinking about it, when you think of like external expectations, what are some of those external things that are giving stress? I see, like, yes, school, work, family, loved ones. What else might be an external expectation that causes stress?
For me, I feel like what causes me stress is when additional tasks or like responsibilities or things that I got to take care of add to my plate. Right. So I kind of have this thought of like, okay, here's what I got to do for the day. Here's what I got to do. Like, I have like a little checklist of things I got to do, which are already busy. It's a lot. But when I think about like new tasks or new responsibility, new things that are going on, I'm like, oh crap, like, no, like I got already this to deal with. And when things get added onto my plate, I'm like, dang it. And so it's also, for me, it's also the thought of I have too much. And when I tell myself like, this is a lot for me, I don't know if I can do this. When I keep doubting myself, that's what gives me more stress. In the end, I feel like, yes, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through the semester, through the week, through the month. But when I think about all my things that I got to do, that's where I'm like, I get stressed. And when I think too hard about it.
Do y'all know how to use the reactions on Zoom? If you do, can you hover down bottom by reactions and give me a thumbs up if you also feel like you have enough on your plate and then things are added to your plate and you're just like, what is going on? So it looks pretty common in our group. Yeah. Thanks. What else external? When you think about identity, can we think about what part of identity might give us expectations when we're thinking about social identity? So maybe race, maybe gender, maybe class, maybe religion.
I think one thing that came up to me was, yeah, like the expectations that I have and my family has, staying on that topic of like, what am I gonna do in the future? I definitely think like as a first generation student, my family expects me to come out of this with a great degree and be making a ton of money, and knowing what I'm interested in, that's probably not the case, and it at least won't be for a while. And so I think that is something that I've been stressing about. Along with exploring different grad schools, I definitely see a difference in there are less people who look like me, and that's a little bit scary to think of being in a classroom, especially with some grad programs being like 20 people for like, you know, for 2 years. That is another stressor of like, I kind of have to represent my social identity. So yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. Yep, I see in the chat expectations from family as a first gen. Yep. I know my dad will often ask me, he thought, when are you doing your PhD? And I'm like, no, thank you. Not today. Anything else as far as external thinking about identity, right? Be it first gen, cultural. I think those are some great points you brought up, Elisa, especially right as you're moving through classes. Like currently we are in a predominantly white institution. That is fact. And so sometimes spaces don't look right like you, like us, like the identities we hold as we enter those spaces, be they first gen, limited income, with disabilities, culture, including race and ethnicity. Those are the different identities that we serve here at the AAC. And so even understanding it from that perspective, like that can be definitely stressful. It's important to have someone to have conversations with, whether that's right, your parents, your sister, your dog, whatever, your BFF, just to talk about like, these are the things going on in my world. So I hope even with the social distancing, y'all are finding ways to connect with your people, whoever your people are. I know that is really important.
You know, I want to add, I think it is, you brought up a good point, like for external factors. I think during this time, being home, it is harder to reach out to those friends, you know, when you are in an institution where it is predominantly white. And we have TRIO. I went through TRIO when I was an undergrad, and so you have these spaces, but now these spaces are limited, or we're online. And so how do you connect? You know, before we used to populate in these spaces. And so, you know, it is out of your comfort zone when you're shy. Because I too, like, I forget who it was that mentioned, you know, you're shy when you're alone, or I don't know, I'm outgoing like once I get into a space, but for me to reach out to people is a little bit harder when you identify as first generation and stuff like that. So yeah, that's one of my external factors. I don't know how other people feel during the pandemic.
Totally right. Just like classes didn't look the same last semester, the AAC experience is not looking the same as it did last semester. I know that's had a huge impact for me. I miss all the noisy folk that used to live across the hall from me, staring at least two of you right now. Yeah, totally. What about even internal expectations, right? Whether we build those from the conditioning, socialization that we've been fed by our parents, by society. What are some of the internal expectations that we carry around that make things stressful? Have y'all reflected on that? and anyone like to share? I know for me, like, right, my internal expectation is like perfection. Why? I don't know. Still working on therapy for that one. I think that has a lot to do, right? Gender expectations, cultural expectations, my own personal expectations that I see passed down right from my mother. And so a lot of that is like stuff that I carry. Nobody's telling me that per se, but it's still stuff that I have like within me that I have to regulate sometimes. What are some examples of some internal expectations y'all have for yourselves?
I agree with Rachel, who said being a first generation student, you definitely have that expectation to be perfect in a sense. Like you said, I definitely have that expectation of like, well, I'm going to continue doing as well as I have done academically in the past. And so I've definitely noticed that, like, whether it be just, you know, because there's a million things going on this semester, like I'm not checking my grades as much. And when I do, I'm like, oh, I really need to make sure I'm on top of things. And so that's like where my expectations come in, where like I want to do the best that I can, but also realizing the context in which we're living in right now and knowing that I'm literally doing the best that I can. And so knowing the difference between like the best that you're doing and perfect, and all of that, and everyone has a different definition of what perfect is and what their best is, and that changes over time for people. So keeping those things in mind are really important when you're dealing with that like self expectation of doing X, Y, and Z, getting X, Y, and Z grades.
Yeah, perfect is nonsense, first of all. Perfect might be for cut and clarity on a diamond, but I think that's a whole nother session we could get into. Right, we're human. We get to be human. You get to be fabulously flawed. You get to have grace for others, and more importantly, you get to have grace for yourself. So remembering to sit in that and knowing, right, sometimes you do fail, sometimes you do fall. And the CSU logo, I don't know what that's really called, probably not a logo, but the fail forward is important. And how do we instead make it a learning opportunity and understand like, oh, this is what I can try differently next time, as opposed to just getting stuck in that rut, right? Because even your heroes will tell you they are not perfect. There are things that go wrong, and it's important to recognize that. Check over to chat. Internal expectations, good grades, disappointment, right? That expectation either not to disappoint others or not to disappoint yourself, that's a huge weight to carry as well. How about a thumbs up if y'all can feel that one? That makes, if you can feel that one, it's a lot of weight to carry, not to disappoint others or disappoint yourself, for sure. Live up to the standards that you've set for yourself. Want to be a surgeon. Yeah, we put a lot of high expectations on ourselves, and it's not a bad thing, right? We want you to be the best surgeon you can be, Luis, because that's who we would want to go to. And it's still just trying to find balance then, right? What is within our control and what is not within our control. And that's what we're going to get into next. So first, if y'all have a sticky note handy, that would be great. A pencil, a paper, a tube of lipstick, something to write with. I want you to jot down maybe 5 things that are causing you stress right now. So and if you don't have something, that's fine. You could do it on your phone, you could do it in your noggin. But what are some things, at least 5 things that are causing you stress right now? We've talked a lot about them. There's some different options. Okay, when your eyes are back on the camera, I'll know you're ready to engage. Y'all got your lists? Hold them up, even if your camera is off, hold it up. Not gonna be as easy on the phone, but crumble that shit up and let it go. Right, the stressors are gonna be there, it's true. But right now we're gonna do a practice to show us like how to navigate those stressors or how to understand better what we can do about those stressors. Sound good? Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again so we can do this breathing exercise. After talking about stress, I just like to breathe. So again, they have a lot of just different gifts that you can find. Find something that works for you. You can save it to your home screen on your phone and just play it anytime you need to. So let's just take a few breaths. One more. Awesome, thanks. So now that, right, there are some things on that list we have control over. Can y'all hear me? Okay, a message came up saying you can't. If you cannot hear me, just let me know. Some of those things on that list we have control over and some we don't, right? So we have to understand how can we differentiate the two so we can let go of the weight of the things that we have no control over. And that can be really hard for many people, myself included. I like to think that I have control over everything. And the fact is I just don't, and I need to be okay with that because it would let a lot of stress go, right? So going back to control, what are some things that you think in your life that are stressful that you have control over? What are some of those things? What might they look like?
I would say recently that's been causing me a little bit of stress is kind of I've been getting like 6 hours of sleep lately. Like, and I'm a very sleepy person. Just I'm trying to, and this week I've tried to get like 7 to 8, and it's been going pretty well because my body right now just like doesn't fall asleep at like 11. It like will just naturally fall asleep at like 1 o'clock, and I'm just like can't do that with an 8 a.m. But
right.
I think if I say I get to a point where I can do 7 to 8 consistently, I just wake up, I feel better, honestly. So
totally. Yeah, you have control over what time you put yourself to bed. The to-do list will still be there in the morning. It's a sad fact, but it's true. What else do you have control over? Positive attitude, I see. Thank you, Natalie. How you react to a situation or a behavior or response, that is in your control, right? How you respond to it. You don't have to react, and that can take a lot of practice, a lot of reflection, but you get to choose how you respond for sure.
I think one thing that I've been trying to like recognize what I have control over. So both of my parents have COVID right now, and it's been really difficult trying to like help from afar, and especially within the Latinx community, it's really hard to get people to follow guidelines and understand the reasons why they're put in place. So what is in my control is like checking in with my mom, every few days, and then also providing her with that information of like, hey, this is what you can be doing, and whether or not they follow that or not is out of my control, but I can just inform them of those things and the reasons why they are put in place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. And I see over here, mindset is a good thing to have control over. Yes, absolutely. Control over what I say about my stress. I can freak out and yell, or breathe and make a game plan. Absolutely, Rachel.
I would also say that some things that, like, I mean, even me, like, we can all, like, kind of take control of is, like, your actions, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, either, like, when either going out with, like, friends, you know, and that, like, may delay you back on a study night and maybe put you behind on something. So maybe that, your actions, you also have control of your actions as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree with you, Jonathan and Rachel. Like that resonates a lot. Upcoming exams, upcoming essays or projects, we decide how we react to that, right? And we can tell ourselves positive things, or we can tell ourselves that we hate it, that this is boring, that we don't like it, that this is going to be hard, right? And so I think that says a lot about how stressed we are, and our mind is just so powerful, and how we react to those things, how we choose to react to those things.
Mm-hmm. I see in the chat, Anna, you also said control over my scheduling and planning, and I have to stick to it, right? The discipline to stay on top of that planning is really important, and again, only in your control. Some other things, right? So control over self, control over our words, our actions, control over our ideas, our beliefs, our efforts, and control over our boundaries. And I think that's a big one to engage in and always practice is, right, what are boundaries and what do those look like? Boundaries with my friends, boundaries with my family, boundaries with myself. How will I engage in all of those and continue to practice and fail and learn and fail and learn, and be okay with that, but knowing that, right, you have control of your boundaries. And so how do you put those in place so that you can feel like you're able to respond in a way that is not just a reaction to all of those added expectations on your list, right? What are some things you don't have control over? I'll let you share a few. Elissa, were you going to say something?
I have to think about it for a minute.
Okay.
I was like, ooh, what do I
saw
not
your
have
lips
control?
I see over here, yep, other people's actions and words.
I can share.
Yeah.
I would definitely have to say something like that's out of our control is like right now with one, like the political climate, two, like what it means it's like school how's going to look like next semester. So like our future in general, I know that's like really like broad, but we really don't know like what's going to be happening like next week or next year kind of thing. So just being okay with like knowing that we're going to be okay in this moment, and creating that support for each other. So.
Yeah, thanks, Haley. Again, right, bringing it back to the moment. Yeah, the semester, whew, all kinds of things. And then bringing the political climate into it too, right? There is so much going on right now. We don't know what tomorrow looks like. We don't know what November 4th looks like or what January 21st is going to look like. And so how instead can we just be in the moment and doing what we need to do to be grounded and stay focused on what it is that does bring us joy, what it is that does give us those connections and get us towards our goal. That's really, right, living in the day, in the present. How about some other things? World events.
I'll just add COVID-19. We don't have control of, just social distancing, and like, of course, a bunch of things are canceled. That's not up to us. And so that I think that does impact a lot.
Totally. Huge, Huge impact. Anyone else? I'm gonna share an image. It's just a Word doc because PowerPoint, but whatever. But right, again, quick Google searches. In my former life, I was a classroom teacher for third graders, kindergarten through third graders. So this reminds me of something like, oh, I would totally hang this in my class. It's colorful and it has a lot of great examples on there. But right, the things within our circle are the things that we can control, right? The things that we have ownership over, our body, our mind, our choices. We get to decide that. Things that we can't control, it's really hard. Again, I'm a person that loves control for whatever reason, identity, I think, included in that. But how do we learn to just be okay with that and let go of the responsibility of having control of that? And knowing that, right, instead of control over the situation, I have control over how I respond to the situation, and control over if I respond or react. And I think that's a really important one on there. Is there anything on this list that you see that's surprising or that you really resonate with?
I resonate with the asking for help because right now I'm struggling with chem. However, I'm now set up like tutoring with the AAC. So it's like in my control to go out and look for help. So I resonate with that at the moment.
Yeah. That's a good one. And I think identity shows up so much in that, right? Like, oh, whether it's, again, gender, race, even first gen status, like you're supposed to know these things. You're supposed to, whoever does that to us, know how to navigate things or know how to figure out things on your own. That's a lie. Nobody knows from the beginning, right? Everybody has to learn from somewhere. And so it really is important to understand, right, when you do need to advocate for yourself and ask for that support, and what that looks like, because we just won't know all the things all the time. And yes, AAC tutoring, do it. Anything else from that list? Okay. And pop over to chat real quick. Forgiving, wait, let me go back up. So I see being accountable. I'm still learning how to hold myself accountable. That's a big one. It's a big reflection, especially, right? I think sometimes it's easier to hold others accountable for their actions than it is ourselves accountable for our own actions. And maybe that's just internal, right, judgment or conversations we have with like, oh, I can't believe Jeffrey didn't do this thing. But when am I checking myself of like, ooh, what does that mean to be accountable? Not just like, oh, I didn't turn in that paper, but like, oh, instead I went and had lunch with my friends all week long, and so I didn't give myself time. What is that going to look like next week, so I don't fall into that same pattern? So yeah, holding ourselves accountable, again, the discipline in that. I see forgiving really hits home because I've been dealing with a difficult relationship recently. Yeah, forgiving is hard, it's big. And they say, of course, it's more for you than them, and it doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't make it any, smoother to go through. But forgiveness, and not just for other people, but forgiveness for ourselves, right? Knowing that typically the best we can with what we have, and we learn better, we know better, and then we do better. And hopefully we can give that same grace to others as we would also give it to ourselves. And then I see on there, if others keep trying, right? Yep, you can only do your part, not others. I know group work is always a fun thing. It doesn't go away just after college, just BT dubs. You'll be doing group work for the rest of your life. So how do you navigate and understand, like, right, okay, I can do what I can do and I can set boundaries, but I also can't do your part for you. And you can use that theoretically or literally. But how do we let others take care of their own selves and be accountable for their own parts without taking the weight of that on as well? Cool. So I see we have about 5 more minutes. And I could talk about this all day long because I love talking, period. I love people, period. And then I love also talking about systems and how we break them. So this is that. The next part, so recognizing, right? There's stress in our lives. There are things we can control, things we can't control. So what do we do about that besides identifying them and understanding, right, the difference between reacting to it, not having a plan, or responding to it, understanding that we can only control what is within our circle, what is within ourselves. Someone earlier had talked about self-care, or taking a moment for themselves, meditating, affirmations. I heard, Tanya, I saw yours, talking in the mirror to ourselves, right? Reminding ourselves that we are worthy, we are enough, we belong here, and sometimes we just need to let go of the weight and go through with, right, what is it that's bringing me joy, and what is it that's making me connected? Is getting this degree hard? Hell yeah. Is it worth it? Hell yeah. So, right, how do you remind yourself of that bigger picture to know, like, this stress is here right now, and it's for the greater cause of, I get to earn this degree and be in a position where I get to change systems, I get to make a difference. So knowing that it does have, I don't know, a worth, but like a place in the journey. I think, right, self-care is huge in stress and trying to handle and navigate things, because we won't be able to do it all the time. There will be days where we have to stay up much later than others trying to get things done, but also very important in plugging in self-care and how we navigate honoring our own bodies and ourselves. What are some things that y'all do for self-care or would like to do? Or is there nothing, literally, because that's just the way it is?
I can share.
Yeah,
I like to go on drives and just listen to music. That's what literally like helps me.
Nice. And I see some face masks and podcasts, lattes. Definitely.
I like watching comedy movies.
Comedies. Nice.
I think laughter is amazing medicine or stress reliever.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
Totally. I think often when we talk about self-care, it's right that the bubble baths, the face masks, the spa days, that would be nice. That costs a lot of money too. Like, that's from a real place of privilege to say, like, oh, I'm going to go get a massage. So, right, what are those things that may not have a barrier of cost? Going to the gym, yep, it's included in your CSU fees. You might as well use that puppy. Photography, absolutely.
I like going outside.
Being
like
outside.
that is, it seems like a really big privilege right now. It's been smoky lately, but so I have 2 dogs, and being able to take them on a walk is just would be wonderful. They would love it too.
Yeah, totally. I'm going to share my screen one more time. Can y'all see this one? Okay. I hear dinging over here. All right, so self-care iceberg. I came across this one a while back, and understanding, right, that the top 10% of the iceberg is usually what we see. Absolutely, but also remembering how deeper self-care can go. Again, some things might have finances connect to them, but some not, right? How do we work on healing our trauma? How do we work on just being able to let go an ugly cry when we need to? How do we work on having difficult conversations or nourishing our body and just remembering that self-care can look like so many other things other than the absolute fun ones. Yes, Starbucks, I approve that message. Face masks, yeah, buddy. Dog walks, absolutely. And those are great ways to get us out of that moment and to be present with ourselves in another moment, but also thinking about the things that are further underneath the iceberg that are also ways we can work on our own stress and anxiety and how to better heal those situations, traumas, whatever they may be, so that we can feel at ease and like the weight is lifted from carrying all the things all the time. Anything on that list that you want to just brush over real quick? Anything surprises you or you'd love to give a try? I see in the chat some ugly crying. Well, it doesn't say that, but it says crying. Thanks, y'all. I see some of y'all have to head out. Absolutely. Don't forget the evals. I am definitely willing to share PowerPoints and gifts with y'all if you want those. If you have your email to Areli, I will get that to you.
Thank you. Yeah, and please submit your cliff evaluation form. That way you can earn credit for this event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks. And I'll hang out for just a minute until everyone's off in case anybody wants to connect.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us. If you're done, you can log off. If you have additional questions, we'll stay on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thanks guys.
Brian. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you.
Thanks, Natalie. Haley, I miss your face.